Thanks for joining us, and today we're going to talk about the problem of spiritual codependence. So in many spiritual traditions, it is very much about the organization or group of people doing the spiritual practices. And this can be a real benefit for some folks. Well, benefiting from the group energy when you're doing meditation and that kind of thing, having the common, energetic shift with everyone and sort of building on that. And that can be very helpful. Where it's not helpful is where the form becomes more important than the essence. Now, the essence of any kind of spiritual path really is about inner transformation and development, right? So that is, at all levels, and that's what we talk about at Modern Kriya, sort of all levels. So from the substance bodily level to the energetic level to the consciousness level, sort of threefold spiritual development. That is what you want. But when any of that gets impeded by a particular social organization, meaning the way that in which you interact with others in a meditation group, and especially with the teacher, then there's an issue with that. And a lot of spiritual paths, it's very much about a codependent relationship between the spiritual teacher or guru and the student, right? And this gets solidified or concretized in terms of organizational structure as well, right? So the organization can often become very bureaucratic. So we've seen this happen time and time again with religious founders who have since passed on. And then their students create these, giant monolithic organizations, right? That try to keep the teachings pure and this kind of thing. And there's something to be said for that. However, when it is really about the form and adherence to the structure, the ritual, all that kind of thing, it leaves a lot of the essence out. The essence is about transformation, and ultimately any kind of spiritual transformation is about individual transformation, because we're all different. We come from different backgrounds. We have different things that we need to develop, right? There we have, unresolved issues from the past. No two people are alike, even if they are identical twins. No two are alike. There's always something different with everybody, and consequently, really any kind of empowering spiritual path will provide you tools and some support for your development, but will not try and mold you and put you in a box where only you must develop in the way that they say you should develop, right? If things are that way, it is very much about being socialized and controlled and put into a particular mold, and that will not work for spiritual development. And in general, that doesn't work for just a personal development, right? Because that's why we all kind of do different things. We don't have the same job that we started at. The first job that we have, very few of us will continue that job through our entire lives, right? Because we need to change, we need to develop. There are different opportunities, and we need to do that. And if we don't do that, then we usually feel an inner urge to make changes. The changes that need to happen internally are expressed in an external way, and people make changes to their environment, their circumstances and that kind of thing. It is exactly the same thing in the spiritual path. It is about development. So you cannot have a cookie cutter approach, a one size fits all approach, and expect that everyone is going to develop in the best way that is going to work for them. You really need to provide tools and support that people can develop in the way that they need to blossom, right? So that's just really what it is. But when you have a spiritually codependent relationship, basically what we're talking about is a student who dotes on the teacher or only follows what the teacher says because the teacher says it, regardless of whether or not it is helpful, correct, or anything else, but because of the perceived authority of the teacher. And at the same time, the teacher gets validation, continuous validation. They get that from the student. You get this codependent relationship, and it's not good, because what it means is that people eventually reach a point, the student will reach a point where they realize they need to go further than the teachings allow, and they're in a conflict because of the idea of loyalty, that they need to be loyal to that teacher until the end of time, basically, right? So we've heard of this in a variety of spiritual organizations about loyalty being the highest law, and really what that's saying, the the subtext of that is you must follow what I say and what no one else says, regardless of whether or not it works for you. That's really what the subtext is. The subtext is really saying that if you don't follow this particular methodology, have these particular beliefs, you are disloyal. You are going against the guru and you are going against God. This is a complete negative programming on the student. And what it does is it puts the student in conflict with themselves, because they know instinctively that they're developing at the beginning, they're doing all these great things, they've got these changes, and then they start to hit a wall. And the wall is often, the explanations they're provided by the teacher may not help them. And the student is basically told the reason that they have this slowdown, this plateau, or this block in their development is because it's something wrong with them, right? And that's not the truth at all, because a teacher who was really very perceptive and had gone through similar struggles would realize that it's not the student's fault. The student just needs another angle to approach the issue that they're dealing with to help resolve it, to help transform, and to help move forward. Now, a teacher like that doesn't have things that are static, that's not written in stone, right? They wouldn't say, oh, well, you might actually need to move to another country and do something different, right? To shake things up and to get the changes, the internal changes that are required, right? That may be something that is necessary to do. But a teacher who holds you in a bondage, in a sort of a very much like a master-slave relationship, that is a codependent relationship that doesn't allow for the growth of the teacher, nor does it allow for the growth of the student. So if you're in that kind of spiritual codependent relationship, or if you suspect you are and you've been told that you have to follow these very dogmatic rules for your development, and really you're the one who's broken, and the great guru or God will fix you, you are in for a rude awakening once you get to the point where you realize that it's you that needs to make the changes, right? Like, you need to steer your ship in your spiritual development. And really, any spiritual path that actually provides you adequate support is going to support you in your journey. It isn't going to define you or to dogmatically control the way that you need to do things, right? So really, that's really what the codependent relationship comes down to. And if you're in a situation like that, if you are getting those messages, from either folks in a spiritual organization or from your teacher, that only what they say and not what they do, but only what they say and nothing else is valid, you should really question that, right? When people talk about it in terms of spiritual context, they don't question the teacher, they don't question the guru, they don't question the spiritual teaching, and all the dogma around it. And especially when you make statements like the guru is God, right? So, like, it's not saying that, God that we think about is the guru necessarily, but the guru is in a way channeling God. And so and the way that the guru channels God means that what the guru says must be the absolute truth. And I would beg to differ on that. And none of us are the source of the universe or the source of our being. We can connect into the source, and that's really what we want to empower people to do. At Modern Kriya, we take this approach where we kind of work backwards. So we start, we use Kriya Yoga and we use Taoist internal alchemy practices to start to reverse engineer the way that we are in the present moment. So at our feeling level, at the substance level, at the energetic level, at the consciousness level, and we work backwards and start to go in towards the center, in towards the source. And in that whole process, reorganizing the way that our energies are, resolving issues, and then making things more transparent and functional within us so that we can make that journey towards source, right? So that journey towards what people may call God, we talk about as the source, basically, the internal source from which everything has sprung, right? But it doesn't mean there are dogmatic rules about it. It just means that you understand the process and how to take steps backwards towards the origin or source. And so we have a variety of techniques, from Kriya Yoga to Taoist internal alchemy, and all of these techniques, these practices are designed for that, to help you to start to harmonize what is sort of the external world, if you will, inside our bodies, and start to move inside our energy levels into deeper levels of our awareness and deeper levels of ourselves, deeper levels of our substance. And as a result, there is an inner transformation, right? And we have the full range of all of these practices available for our Modern Kriya members. So check out our membership section at Modern Kriya. So if you have any questions about this video, feel free to send me an email at info@modernkriya.com. Also check our website at modernkriya.com and our YouTube channel. So thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.